Hello, and welcome back to another encouraging, inspiring, and including episode of the Achieving Unity Leadership System weekly podcast, where we help turn chaos into connection and purpose into action. I am your host, Mark Intrican, founder of the Achieving Unity Leadership System, available at www.achievingunity.com, which is dedicated to all leaders personally and professionally in improving their lives through encouraging, inspiring, and including others, the EII. We must remember that unity is not a soft skill. Unity is a leadership discipline. I am honored today. We'll get to introduce in a few minutes. Gloria GLOW Woods. She goes by Glow. We'll talk about that more in a few minutes also. She's a mother, an author, an advocate, and ministry leader whose journey, I'm sorry to say, began with tragedy. The incarceration of her daughter and the loss of her young granddaughter, now transforming grief into healing, advocacy, and outreach. As we listen, we are invited to see not just the challenges many people face, but the potential that exists when people are encouraged, inspired, and included in building a better future together, achieving unity. But first, before we delve into this insightful discussion, let me briefly introduce my company, Reality Focused Dynamics, where it all began. Just on the first screen, Achieving Unity Leadership System podcast. This is real conversations for leaders navigating division, frustration, and change. And I am Mark Intrican. Leadership feels harder than it should, doesn't it? How many times are we in the leadership situation that things are not going like we think they should? Sometimes disconnection is growing. Sometimes frustration is draining people, draining the teams. Good intentions are colliding with real world pressure. So, like I said, unity is not a soft skill anymore. Unity is a true leadership strategy. What we mean by achieving unity is that we are encouraging progress without enabling dysfunction. We're not just nodding our head at everything, we're agreeing but questioning. We want to inspire action without forcing agreement. We want to include voices while maintaining accountability. That's where we need to be, including all voices while maintaining accountability all the way around. We will be building better businesses, better lives, and a better world, one conversation at a time. Again, I am your host, Mark Intrican, founder of Reality Focused Dynamics and the Achieving Unity Leadership System. I work with leaders, teams, and families navigating conflict, navigating change and complexity, helping others move forward with clarity, unity, and sustainable action. We're going to go through this very in detail in the next slide, but we're going to talk about facilitate on clear, unified, sustainable execution and delivery. That's us being focused. You can reach me at 303 Focused, FOCUSED, 303-362-8733, or www.achievingunity.com. And here is that definition of focused. It's a big acronym. But first thing we want to do is facilitate. And facilitate sounds like a big word, all of those syllables, but it is just putting it in action. We want to put it in action. Tough conversations that build trust. We need those in action. And we need to facilitate on common ground and shared purpose. That's what it's all about. We want to make sure that we're clear through our communication and our agreements. We want to feel unified. We want to be unified. And that's action across differences. most differences don't matter. We want to make sure that we are unified. We want to be sustainable. When we say sustainable, we want results that last, and that's where it needs to be. And then execution. What is execution? Execution is action, consistent, responsible action. What does that mean? Delivery, inspired growth, and lasting change, delivering it one day after a time. I mean, one day after another. We want to make sure that delivery, that action, is number one. I want you to contact us. We are here for you. Reality Focus Dynamics, achieving unity. Let's promote clear, unified, sustainable action, and let's do it starting now. Reach out to explore coaching, courses, workshops, or speaking engagements to promote unity leadership. It works personally, it works professionally, it works at home, either in couples or a family. That's where we need to be. Achieving unity is the path to stronger relationships, inspired leadership, and lasting change. Again, you can see my information down at the bottom. Check it out. See my Legal Shield Associate membership. If you want to stop the problems, let's work together in achieving unity from family to professional to the legal. There is an answer, and it doesn't cost what it used to. Let's get together. Please contact me at your earliest opportunity. Thank you. We have several upcoming conversations coming up. Again, this is a weekly podcast. We come here every week. I want you to join us every week. Next week is Steve Nassan. He is going to be here and talk about 5 strategies that help us in work conflict. Let me change that. I'm sorry. He will be here on the 25th. Next week, we had to move Teresa later in the month. So she is not going to be here next week, but she will be here later. We'll talk about her next week. She'll be on the sheet. So I am actually looking for someone to come talk to us next week. So if you're watching this today, get in touch with me. I need some help. I'll be looking for some more people this afternoon. And there are so many out there that have such a great word, just like Glow does today. But then the following week, Giovanni Scaro is going to be talking to us. Personal leadership, alignment to get results. That's where we need to be. Then Maria is coming the next week. Untangling communication for empowered leadership and team success. This is about achieving unity, all of us working together to build a better life, personally and professionally. If you look at the screen now, and I hope you will take a screen print, this is how you can get in touch with Glow. The QR code on the left, get in touch with her. Talk with her after this. Find out what she's doing. She's also a speaker. She's also a coach. She'd be happy to be a consultant for you in helping what we talk about today grow forward. Down at the bottom, you can see her Facebook link. You also see her Instagram. So after today, stay in touch. This afternoon, this evening, use those QR codes. Use her social media. Stay in touch with her. And of course, you can see mine on the right. It's a QR code from my site. We also want to stay in touch because what we do through that execution is take action to make this world a better place, one reality at a time. So again, we're talking to Glow, and she is awesome in what she does. It is so amazing. We're excited to welcome Gloria Woods. She goes by Glow, an author, ministry leader, and advocate who empowers individuals to find healing, hope, and restoration through faith and perseverance. Through her outreach, compassionate advocacy, and the work of Broken, Shackles, Freedom, and Deliverance Ministries, Gloria supports individuals impacted by incarceration, trauma, homelessness, and mental health struggles, helping them rediscover purpose and the next step in that path going forward. Drawing from her personal journey of loss and resilience, as well as her work as the author of Broken Shackles, a mother's journey and host of a mother's journey. She's also host of Broken Shackles, Keys to Wilderness. Glow brings us powerful insight, heartfelt guidance that inspire healing. It inspires faith and meaningful transformation with individuals and communities. So please, if you would, help me welcome Miss Gloria GLOW Woods. Gloria, how are you today?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful, thank you. And thank you so much for being here. It's exciting to have you here. You have such a story to tell. I
Yes, and
want to
thank you
hear so
so
much.
much.
I want to hear so much more about you and talk with you more about it. And I know our audience is sitting on the edge of their seats, trying to just find out more about what you do and what you've been through. So if you don't mind, let's talk first as you introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Have you always had that nickname, Glow, or is there a story behind how that name became connected to your ministry and your mission?
Yeah, it's kind of a story behind it. Basically, growing up, I dealt with severe depression, severe anxiety, and all those kinds of things that cause people to not know how to deal with life. Like my pastor says often, life just seemed like it happened one thing after another for me. But recently, I wrote a second book called The Samaritan Road to Recovery. Just a
Wow.
recovery book. And I was doing a photo shoot. And so my marketing person was saying, she was just taking all these pictures and I was smiling. And, and I can remember the times I couldn't smile. I couldn't be happy. I couldn't be joyful. And she said,
Wow.
"Oh, your name going to be Glow." And so God kind of took that to say those dark years that I experienced for so long was turning into a life of enlightenment, illumination,
Life.
so to speak, and so I've had certain people, actually people that went to with me in high school, see me now and they say, "Oh my gosh, what happened to you?" And so I came up the word with Glow because it was so many dark years and so many years of depression and oppression and homelessness and this and abuse and all kinds of stuff. And we can talk about that as well. That now I'm living, I just turned 65 this year. So my latter years are better than my former years. And so I wanted God really wanted me to realize that He had transformed me into something called Glow.
I love that. And as I mentioned before, when I thought of you and when I think about you, I read about you, I came up with an acronym for GLOW.
Okay.
And that G, again, look at you smile today. G is the grace that restores. That L in your name,
Mm-hmm.
love that lifts others. The O in your name, overcoming life's shackles, like in your
Yes.
book.
Right.
W, walking in faith and wholeness.
Yes.
GLOW, grace
Right.
that restores, love that lifts others, overcoming life shackles and walking in faith and wholeness. And that's where I see you today, Glow.
Oh
Tell
wow.
us
Yeah.
more.
Okay. So I guess we can kind of talk about life. Don't want to dwell too much on that because I want to dwell on where we came with the broken shackles. But my mom, from what I understood, I didn't know my mom. She died when I was 2, and
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
ended up being raised by my aunt and my uncle. And in that atmosphere, me and my older sister, we experienced molestation. So in that experience of that,
So
that's when
sorry.
that rejection, that feeling of, I don't feel good about myself. I don't feel rejected. A lot of times I wouldn't talk like what you have me doing today. I would have never done that before because I'm such a quiet, timid person, afraid. And so to look at my life now and what has transformed and what you represent, with focus and dynamics and solutions, God has allowed me the opportunity to help the people that may have experienced some of the bad stuff that I experienced. So
I
that's what my mission of Broken Shackles really is, because we talked about it earlier. We had a really major, major tragedy. And of course, the depression, Well, let me just say, during my marriage, I had two suicidal attempts that I've overcome through counseling and therapy and mental health. I'm a mental health advocate because it literally saved my life. And so, of course, we come with this tragedy, and it came at a really, really tough time in all of my kids' lives because my youngest daughter was only in the ninth grade, I believe, and so it was really bad, to say the
I'm so
least. The
sorry.
normal
Yeah.
person would have never recovered, and that's why I
But
talk
you were
about
called.
recovery. Yeah.
Well, I love that because that's one of the things that we see. And as I look at your acronym now, the G, the grace that restores, I can also see the growth that restores,
Yes.
how
Yes.
you have grown in what you're
Mhm.
doing and how
Mhm.
you've gone forward. And
Right.
it seems that that name, Broken Shackles, I love
Mhm.
that. Broken Shackles carries a powerful meaning. What
Mhm.
inspired that phrase and what more can it represent in your life story?
Okay, so basically, my middle daughter was 21 years old, and she had she had a son who was two at that time, and she had two twin daughters, and she was dealing with some things in life, and so she kind of veered away from the family. We were trying to find out where she was and all this stuff, and one morning, she calls me and says, "Mom, um, Leah, which was one of my granddaughters, she's been kidnapped." She put this big Amber Alert out and stuff. Only to find out,
Mm,
as the night grew, it got worse because we found out that there was not an Amber Alert. She left them with other people that she entrusted because she lost her job, she lost her boyfriend, she lost her car, but she didn't want to contact family and ended up the baby had passed away. The police and authorities
sorry.
found the baby, and found it in a situation that was not that good. And so the family got involved. They pulled the family into it, said the family should have known, we should have known. They brought me in to be questioned. This is where the broken shackles part comes in. Brought me into the
Okay.
police, wherever they go, to be questioned. And they were like, "Well, Ms. Woods, how could you not know something was going on with your granddaughter?" And then they took the picture of the deceased baby, put it in my face like this, So, needless to say, I had a mental health breakdown. My brother, who actually was a mental health counselor, got me admitted to the Baptist Hospital Stress Center. And I will say they were the nicest people in the world. I worked for Baptist Manor, which was affiliated with Baptist Healthcare in Pensacola. And the ladies and all of them, they were so nice. They were like, "We're not here to judge you." Meantime, we're all over the media everywhere, even on the Nancy Grace show.
Wow,
So how
that's big.
yeah, that was me. Oh, you talk, mom, da 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 da. The family says they didn't know anything, and it was just devastating. And so, of course, I went back into depression, and it was really a tough season. And so, I had a wonderful therapist, and the therapist said, was saying, you know, don't blame yourself. Your daughter was an adult, and it's not. She was just trying to help me see the whole picture. And so she said, "Have you ever thought about journaling?" I said, "No, not really." She said, "I suggest you start journaling." So all this was going on. We went through 2 years of going back and forth in the court system, all this stuff. They had her in a lime green um, incarceration outfit, and it went on for 2 years. And so I was just writing everything. Now, mind me, I am a person that serves in a church system.
Okay.
So you would think, yeah, they're gonna all love me so much. But it didn't happen that way. It didn't always happen that way. And the pastor and his wife did, because I had known them for years, but you would hear gossip in the hallway and all this stuff. So I just started writing everything. I said, "God, why would you take a child? Why you didn't take me? God, I've served you for all these years. This was happening." So I began to shackle myself. Even though my daughter was in prison, I emotionally shackled myself. I took guilt on, I took blame on. I would go to the cemetery every day thinking I could talk to my granddaughter, she come back. All these shackles were on me. So I must have went through therapy for about maybe 6 or 7 years. And I noticed God was slowly breaking the shackles. So so here I am. I'm writing all this stuff, all kinds of stuff, and then it got better because I could feel the shackles slowly being broken. Then someone said, a friend of mine said, "Have you ever thought about making what you writing a book?" No, but then I met a wonderful lady from the Atlanta area who actually had been incarcerated in the past, and she published this book called "Broken Shackles: A Mother's Journey." So
Beautiful.
a lot of times we look at incarceration as the person that's incarcerated, but I tell people this often: when a person goes to prison, the family goes too.
And I
In
like
some
that
form.
because right. Sorry to
We
interrupt you, but
share that sentence.
yes, that
Yes.
broken shackles, I mean, that reaches. And that mother's story,
Hmm.
what you went through, and that it's that ability to take that as God works through our minds and our hearts and put you on the right path, that you thought this through and had the opportunity. And as I mentioned earlier, the delivery, the action, you had the opportunity, right, Glow? And you
Hmm.
made it happen.
Yes.
You
And
took it to that next step.
right. And the amazing thing that I laugh about it now, I didn't laugh about it then, but I laugh about it now, is that there was a lady that helped follow me and my family, even when it was in the media. She was like the spokesperson because she worked at the jail. She was a spokesperson for the family and for my daughter and everything, and visit my daughter frequently. She said, "I know this looks like the worst situation you're in." I said, "It is." And she said, "But it's not about you." And I said, "Why would she tell me that when I'm, in this situation?" She said, "One day you're going to be able to share your story, and you're going to be help all people all over the United States of America understand that they can get through things like you did." I laughed at her
Beautiful.
then. I did. I said, "You must be, I wanted to say something else, but I didn't." And it's coming. Are you on some kind of? But honestly, everything she told me has come to pass.
I think it's beautiful how you can find some humor in situations that there's nothing you can do about today. It's not
Right.
that this situation was funny. It wasn't laughable all the time. It was very stressful, to say the
Very
least.
much, very much.
But we're at a point now that there's nothing we can do about yesterday. So
Hmm.
you're taking it and finding
Right.
what we've been able to, what you, your
Hmm.
family, has
Hmm.
been able to make better and
Hmm.
to help address the world on things that a lot of people may feel and they read on the news. But what I think, Chloe, that you're bringing is a true story, a story
Yes.
of facts and
Yeah.
the shackles that you were in and breaking free,
Exactly.
the
Exactly.
strength that comes from what you did is amazing. I am.
Yeah.
It's one of those situations where, again, I am not a counselor. I am a coach, but
Hmm.
it's amazing how many people carry invisible burdens inside themselves.
Exactly. Yeah.
Have there
Yes.
been any defining moments for you then when some of those burdens begin to transform into a sense of purpose?
Yes. Actually, when I wrote the book, so I wrote the book, and so they all tell you that this book is going to be a bestseller, and so it wasn't, but it was. Because as the book started coming out, I started having people in these different groups, criminal justice reform groups. They started contacting me. They wanted to get the book, and so they were like in tears, like, "Oh my gosh, how did you get through all that? And if you can get through that, what I'm going through with my loved one, I can get through." People on the victim side, see. The ironic thing, and the judge said this when he sentenced my daughter. He said, "This is what he said. I never forget." His name was Judge Territorial. He said this. He said, "Nobody wins here. This is a loss for everybody involved." He said, as the mother, you have to deal with the criminal side, but you're the victim as well. And
It,
so I try to tell my criminal justice reform people, we got to look at it from the victim side too. The worst case scenario, if somebody goes and shoots somebody today, you know, yeah, we don't want our loved ones to spend all, get executed, but you also have to look, there's a victim side too. So I had the victims contacting me. I had the people that had loved ones incarcerated contacting me, and I had an organization called Prison Fellowship, major, national
right.
organization, and they had
That's
me
good.
do a blog on the whole thing. This was years ago, and then they began to want me to go talk to legislators. So me and some other people, we went down. I think my first legislator was Senator Don Nelson. I talked to him. Then we went down and talked to Diane Hart, some of the other legislators, and that's how I realized, okay, this is a greater purpose than I thought. It really wasn't about all the pain. And I remember I did a book anthology with a lady in Michigan, and the name of my chapter was the pain, the process, and the purpose. Now, at that particular time, I was still going through the pain and the processes. The purpose didn't come to years later, but the purpose was always there because God knew there was going to be a purpose. Sometimes we focus on the pain. And I had a doctor told me this. He said, pain is necessary for healing. He said, when we do a surgery, we give them that little, thing, that little machine. You could touch the machine and get the pain medicine, but it's a part of their healing to have the pain as well. So it was a part of my healing
Hmm.
to get me to my purpose to have the pain that I endured.
I am so sorry about that pain, though. That's what you're doing, what you
Nobody
went
liked
through.
it.
Oh, it's to have a family member
Yeah.
to go through this. And I
Mm-hmm.
talked to several people that have been incarcerated for different reasons, and people
Mm-hmm.
that were incarcerated for many years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's challenging, and our court systems luckily are changing. I'm glad the judge that you had saw that.
Yeah.
Most of my work with judges has been in the divorce courts and in custody, and it hasn't been
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
because we
Yeah.
have to remember that. Go ahead,
Yeah.
please.
He was like really kind of like it just really did something to him. He said, this actually is the hardest sentencing that I've ever had to do. And he'd been judged for years and years. In fact, I think he was a public defender before he was a judge.
Wow.
So, he could have gave her the max years they wanted to give her was 45 to 60 years. He gave her 15. She did real good at the prison. She was out within 13 years. And she's doing well now.
Good to hear. That's good because it's one of those situations that we have to remember that our legislators write the law, our
They
senators and our
do. Oh,
representatives,
yeah.
and the judges have to read it. And we have
Mhm.
to remember that judges, most cases, are just lawyers,
That's right.
lawyers that
Yeah.
are appointed into a judge position.
Hmm.
So that when our legislatures, our Senate and our House,
Hmm.
when they write that law, we need to make sure that we're writing it in a situation in a language that we can all understand, not
Hmm.
legalese, not legalese. Because
Right.
again, luckily, you had a great judge. You had a
Hmm.
judge that understood. But a
Hmm.
lot of times that's not what happens.
It
And
doesn't.
again, they're lawyers, and it's a huge
Hmm.
challenge. It takes a lot of training.
Hmm.
But luckily, that
Yeah.
judge was there to understand the situation,
Hmm.
dig into it a little bit. It sounds like.
Yeah. And here's the I call the miracle of it all. I know my daughter don't look at it as a miracle, but I do because she could have went way, way longer than that. The entire thing this was going on, they had the Casey Anthony hearing also. And so she was supposed to have a trial, but the public defenders convinced her not to. They convinced her to take the plea or whatever that the state wanted because everybody's angry about Casey Anthony right now, So for him to say what he said, I tell her all the time. I told her the whole time she was in prison. I said, you could have got worse, but because of a judge that looked at the whole picture and had a heart for everybody that was involved, he went strictly by the law.
Yeah.
And that's what he said. He said, I hate to do this. I mean, it's a lose for everybody, but I have to go strictly by the law. And the law says I have to at least give you 15 years.
Yeah. And they do. And we want more
Mm-hmm.
judges to do that, to actually
Mm-hmm.
follow
Yep.
that law that's so difficult to read. Again,
Mm-hmm.
we need to make sure written much more clearly. But have there been moments where life has shifted for you? And you mentioned the word purpose earlier. Has
Mm-hmm.
it shifted from that struggle toward purpose, where that calling to help others became undeniable? That purpose of helping others?
Yes. Yes, it did. I'm glad you asked that question because, yeah, so for the longest, I would say from it happened in 2009, 2000, maybe 17. I'm just like, okay, I know I got a purpose, but what is it, God? I mean, you know, why you do all this? Why did all this happen? Because, if you're God, people like to ask that question. If you're God, why did all this happen? And so I really didn't realize my purpose. I really didn't realize my purpose until after I started going down to legislation, and then I started talking to people about pain and about different kinds of pain. It
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily even have to be incarceration,
Oh, no.
but pain is pain, and when you're hurting, it's pain, it hurts, And so I did notice this though on my job, and everywhere I would go, people were drawn to talk to me about legal issues. Now I'm not a lawyer or anything, but I've had people come and ask me, could I write them appeals and all that kind of stuff. I could only give them, you know, recommend people
Opinions.
that they could go
Mhm.
to.
Mhm.
And when they said, "Well, I knew you was a lawyer," I said, "No, I'm really not."
But you learn so much when you're in those situations, don't
Yes,
you?
yes. And so I learned the
And
purpose because my youngest daughter went through a whole lot, you know, doing the whole incarceration thing because she was in high school and they knew all about it in the media, and she got picked down at school and she ended up with anxiety. So then I had to deal with a youth with anxiety, and how to help her work through these things. And so that started giving me another purpose, you know.
mhm.
How can I help? How can we be, and I tell people this often, how can we be proactive instead of reactive? Now,
Very well said.
yeah,
Thank
for
you. Please
example,
continue.
yeah, for example, you read in the news about all this stuff happened to people. Like, I think there was something in the news last month about the lady and the autistic boy and all this stuff happening. So we react. Oh, that's the worst thing in the world. Why did that happen? But what are we doing to be proactive? So I feel like my purpose is educate. Just educate people on stuff. Not necessarily a 21-year-old, but how can we educate a 14-year-old or a 13-year-old and them so they won't go in that system? Because I promise you, once you get in that system, it's going to change your life. So,
It's
I
a
mean, and we
different
can't
system all the
save
way around, isn't
everybody.
it?
We
Mhm.
can't save everybody, but maybe we can save one.
And people don't think about that. Like you're saying, when you're in jail, 24 hours, 7 days a week,
Mm-hmm.
you're under someone else's control.
Mm-hmm.
You're under the process, the program that in
Mm-hmm.
most
Yep.
cases works. It's there for a reason. It's there because of what has happened.
Mm-hmm.
But that is, as you mentioned, that's a change of life.
It is.
It's a new learning.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
remember my daughter first came home and she lived with me first so she could find her own place. And she lived with me first. And she would get up at 6 o'clock in the morning talking about count. I said, girl, you're not in prison no more. But that was the lifestyle. It took her
And then,
years. You know, it's institutional life. Like you said, that's what they do every day.
and as you mentioned, when you get out of a situation like that, it's hard to get out of that pattern as well.
Mhm. Right,
Would you say
exactly.
15 years, 13 years?
13
So
years
you've lived a
altogether. Yeah.
certain way for 13 years to rebuild yourself, to get
Hmm.
out of that. But that's what we have to do. And as I talk about, and I'll say it again later, but complexity into execution. You have to take that life that she had and turn it into execution from what she learned, what
Right.
you could teach her, be better
Hmm.
at. Turn that
Hmm.
chaos into connection, reaching out to others, reaching out to you for
Hmm.
your help and your
Hmm.
support, and
Hmm.
put those purposes into action. And I'm glad that you were there. And it's one of the things about your story that just intrigued me because you reached out, you did something. Because our purpose starts just like through, as you mentioning, God's path. It's through our mind.
Hmm.
We have to
Always.
think this forward, right?
Always. Hmm.
That spiritual awakening often comes through some powerful experiences, but when
Hmm.
the situation is as it is, when things have happened, when that situation is there, we have to turn those moments of faith into change and change some directions in our life, right?
Exactly. Hmm.
And that's what your daughter had to do from where she was, what happened, spending
Hmm.
that time, now building her life, and then she has you that has helped build a better world
Hmm. Hmm.
and improve some lives, right?
Right. Exactly. Yes. And here's
What's
the
some of,
thing.
go
Here's
ahead,
the
please.
thing. She she took all kinds of classes and all kinds of she was that's all she did, you know, worked and took classes, really good classes. So her last year she had to take one more class to get her game time down, and she did not want to take catering. Culinary arts they called it, but she ended up loving it. And do you not know the Monday after she got out of prison, she got 7 job offers in the food
Wow.
industry.
Hmm.
She became a manager of one of them, and she worked there for a year as a manager. Now she could found something a little bit
Hmm.
different where she could eventually go up the corporate ladder. So you know, it's all in what you make it too when you go to prison. And if it's all your mindset.
It is. You said so
Mhm.
much right there. It's all in the mindset because
Mhm.
there are situations where there are people that are in jail because of lack of education. They didn't know any
That's
better,
right.
and that doesn't make
Mhm.
it right. I'm not saying that it
Mhm.
does, but when you're there, for a lot of people that I talk with, they didn't know any better in a lot of ways.
Mhm.
That's the way their friends did it. Well, my friends did this, my friends did that,
Right. Exactly.
and it's still wrong. So they go to jail. But when you're in jail, if you have the right leadership and are in the mindset of the deputies and the sheriffs that are there, we have some great deputies. We have some great
We do.
sheriffs out
We
there.
do. We do. Definitely.
But
Absolutely.
for them to help the people, and like your daughter, she has the heart and the mind to take advantage of what was there. The
Hmm.
situation happened. There she was. She built forward. She took that purpose on her own, didn't she?
Hmm.
To be a better person going to get out of jail
Right.
and to get a
Exactly.
job. And
Hmm.
as you said, to be a manager, take her abilities and put them into action.
Hmm.
It's beautiful. I'm
Hmm.
just,
Yep.
we don't see that. We don't, a lot of us on the normal everyday purpose, we don't see what people go through and what they have to do.
Hmm.
But people like her that take what happened
Yeah.
and turned it into another step in her life to be
Hmm.
better, I look up to her.
Yeah. Because I think that we focus on all of the people that negatively do stuff when they go incarcerated, but we should give the people that have positive. She's not the only person that had a positive outcome. Why not give the people that had a positive outcome when they came out of prison that same recognition that we give to the people that maybe repeat offend and do all kinds of stuff?
Great question. Mhm.
Mhm.
Who needs to be in the news? And that's the positive.
That's
The
right.
people
Yeah.
like her that
Mhm.
stood up, stepped out, took her
Mhm.
purpose forward.
Exactly.
Intelligent woman, intelligent person. She took where she was and built a better life for herself and for others once she's out.
Right. Yeah.
That's awesome. Have there been challenges along the way that maybe could have even discouraged your ministry from moving forward? Have you run into any challenges?
Yeah. This is the thing. And I appreciate you so very, very much because, okay, so if you get someone that maybe big preacher, like a T.D. Jakes type of person,
I like TD
everybody will
Jakes.
fall over. Oh, T.D. Jakes, T.D. Jakes. But when you in ministry and you're not a, I quote say, I'm not a pulpit evangelist. I mean, I can go behind the pulpit if my pastor asks me, but that's not my box. My box is outside the four walls. Radio. I like to do radio. I like to bring people in to educate people. Radio, wholeness. Okay. I like to help people that I like to help homeless people. Now, you got to help yourself too. But I do like organizations like Open Doors and like Waterfront Rescue Mission. I generally don't like to give money on, like when they say, give me money, I don't do that. I will go and get you something to eat, get you some snacks, get you some toiletries. I'm happy to get you some blankets and things like that. And people that are in recovery, go to prisons, go to um, our church recently went to Teen Challenge. I like outside work. I'm not an inside, person. I'm not. I don't get caught up in all of that. But I do know a lot of times when we're doing stuff like this, and I'm African American, so I can talk about us. We don't like to support people that do outside ministry. For some reason, we just don't. And
Mhm.
that's a sad scenario because guess what? Jesus did most of his ministry outside of synagogue. Now, I'm not saying he never went into a church or a synagogue, but
Right.
did. But
Mhm.
the majority of his ministry was done outside. His disciples, none of them were deacons or preachers or anything. Two of them was fishermen.
Mhm.
So that's just my kind of like my pet peeve.
Mhm. Well, I love what you're saying because one of the things that I just love about you the most is that you're taking what you have and you're taking it forward. You're making a better life for yourself, for those around you. You're teaching others. But if you don't mind, one of my speeches and one of the ones I challenge a lot of times, and I love you and where you are, what you've done. But when you say African American, I'm sorry, I see you as a full-blooded United States of America
Yeah, that's true. I just
American.
I just like to plug that in about my
I
people.
know we have each of us have a darker skin or lighter skin,
Yeah, that's true.
but each of
Right.
us,
Yeah.
every one of us.
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to your story in a second, but just want to mention I was injured in an automobile accident, Hattiesburg, Mississippi, had 9 pints of blood. Have
Ooh.
no idea, major accident, huge scars, no idea where that blood came from. But I know it was type A positive or O negative because that's a universal donor. There's only four
Mm-hmm.
blood types in this world: A, B, and O. Doesn't matter what color your skin is, where
That's
you were
not.
born. We
Mm-mm.
are all brothers and sisters,
We definitely are.
and
Yeah.
that's where we need to grow forward, and that's where it is. So, but just love your story, what you're doing, and that you're helping others, and you're helping others grow. So, how many of our listeners today that may feel stuck or overwhelmed? Have there been any lessons learned from your own journey that
Hmm.
helped you break those mental or emotional chains or shackles?
Yeah, I tell people all the time that a lot of times in my past life, I did something called self-sabotage. And that means, a lot of times we like to blame everybody else for situations we're in, but we have to take accountability and I made some choices that probably weren't the best choices in the world, even for my kids. Um, even the marriage I was in, my parents was like, I don't, my whole family actually told me, we don't think this is a good decision. But I did it anyway, and it was my own whatever, whatever. So I feel like for myself, when I realized I had to take accountability. Do I want to continue to live like this, or do I believe God has something better for me than always being depressed, always being down? And one of the first steps I had to do is realize I needed a long-term mental health plan for myself. And a lot of people, they go to therapy and want the therapist to tell them everything. Well, that didn't happen to me. The therapist may have put me to work and made me come up with my own plan. And when I thought I still needed to be in a therapist, she said, "You don't need therapy no more. Not right now. You don't need therapy. You ought to be counseling somebody else." So I
That's
think,
beautiful. Yes.
yeah, I think it has to be a self decision. I will say the leader that I'm under now is a mental health provider as well, and she's a coach like you. And she always teaches us that if you come to her for coaching, you're going to do the work because I'm not going to do the plan for you. I'm going to help you. I might be able to direct you because you've got to initiate and carry out that plan. So I think I had to come up with a plan. It took me years and years to get it down, and it took some work on my part. It took some falls and peaks and valleys. And I think what people need to realize, if I mess up today, that doesn't mean that I can't get back up and try again or try something
So
different.
true.
I think there's a scripture that says the a righteous man falls 7 times, but he still can get back up again. And so for me, I've had to get back up many times, many seasons. I feel like I'm living in my better days, but it came because of the things I had to learn, and some of it was trial by error.
That's a facilitation, and we want to make sure that we're going forward, driving forward, and making
Mm-hmm.
sure that happens. That is so true because we all need coaches. I have two coaches. I'm a coach, but I have coaches. Connie and Keith help
Mm-hmm.
me out along the way at times, and
Right.
that I do for them. But that help that we're helping each other. That's why I'm so glad that you're doing it, and glad you're staying with the coaching and the help and the assistance, because things happen,
They
and
do.
there's times we need someone else to talk with,
Mm-hmm.
and need to be able to help. So maybe just think back to what you said to celebrate the people that are doing good, not
Mm-hmm.
celebrate all the ones that we have now in the media of the bad. We
Right.
need a
Yeah.
positive media. We need a
Positivity.
positive newspaper
Mm-hmm.
because that's just, it's, you said so much. I guess that's why I just am so impressed by what you're doing and what you've been through and breaking those shackles and what you're doing going forward. And it seems like your ministry has become a place of hope for
Yes.
many, many people. Thank you for doing
Mm-hmm.
that.
Man.
How does Broken Shackles Freedom and Deliverance Members Ministries, how did it begin? How it's doing? How can we contact you if we
Okay.
need to
So,
contact you?
like I said, it started off with the book. It started off with the tragedies. And I think when I mentioned earlier that Prison Fellowship wanted me to do that blog, and I think it actually was called "From Tragedy to Triumph." That's what it actually was called. And so that's how it started. And I think the book just was, how you build a foundation. So I think the book was the foundation. And then I started doing, when I first started doing radio, I was just interviewing people, incarcerated people, either attorneys, incarcerated people have been incarcerated, stuff like that. And then I think it's been about 2 years now, God showed me this thing about freedom and wholeness. And so that's why I changed the radio show to Broken Shackles um, Wholeness Show, about wholeness. And it's just turning from one thing to another. And so I anticipate, with the prayers of God, I anticipate actually having an outreach center for people, you know, um, to have recovery, to have, some of the physical needs that people may have, to be able to do education, have a forum to do education. That's my goal, is to have either a transitional center or a outreach center. And so I'm anticipating that in the future, whenever God says it's the right time. And so I'm just grateful to God because, like like that first blog said, it went from tragedy to triumph. I never thought I would be in the place that I am. I really
I,
didn't.
you're impressive of what you're doing and what you continue to do. And
Mhm.
don't wait. Make it happen. It's one of
Make
those
it happen, huh,
situations
Coach?
that
He
God may
said,
be
make it
waiting
happen.
on you. Don't wait on God. God may be waiting on you.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what you can make do. And of course, it's always you need help, as we talked about, even with coaches and with other people, and it's all working together. It's all about achieving unity. But life
Right.
is
Unity
what
is
we
so
make
important.
it.
That's
So
true.
let's make it awesome
Amen.
together, achieving unity. So we're able to reach out and help each other. It's just so great, what we can
It's
do in
important.
building.
Hmm.
Well, let's talk just a moment about some of the things that we've been through and that we've done. And it seems sometimes that forgiveness can be one of the hardest parts
It
of our healing, can't it? Have there been
is.
lessons about forgiveness that
Oh,
maybe
yeah.
has surprised you?
Yes, I'm glad you asked that question because I notoriously was a person that couldn't forgive for a long time. I just I I just held it in, and so when you hold stuff in and you don't forgive people, then there's something called a grudge, and you can build that grudge, and that grudge can lead to other health conditions as well. So I think the forgiveness actually happened when my daughter became incarcerated, honestly, because here's the thing about the whole incarceration. Whenever it happened, it was, nobody wanted to see her, nobody in the family wanted to visit her and stuff. And so I was still pretty angry too myself, to be honest with you, because it just was so much. And so God spoke to me and he said that somebody has to be the person to show her some unconditional love right now. And guess what? It's on you. That's what he told me. I said, okay, God, you gotta help me with this one right here, okay? So as we begin to, I would visit her every week. Every time she had a visitation, I would go visit her. And as she was crying a lot, and I was crying a lot, and I learned that Jesus forgave me. In fact, he showed me that he forgave an incarcerated person before he forgave anybody else. Because when he was on the cross, he was between two criminals. And so that's when I learned. And so there was some things that happened with people that I felt like should have been there for me during the whole process that I had to end up asking God to help me with the forgiveness. It took a long time. I'm not going to even pretend. I think the biggest forgiveness besides this right here was I had a stepfather who molested us, me and my sister, for years and years and
Oh,
years.
I'm sorry.
And he ended up getting sick, really sick. He had this Whipple surgery. My daughter was still incarcerated. And I had to take care of him, but I had to ask God to help me forgive him. Now my sister never forgave him, but and she's passed on. But I was able to forgive him, and that's how now when I see people, even people that probably everybody else looks at should be executed, should be all kinds of stuff, I still look at it from the standpoint of they may spend the rest of their life in prison, but God still loves them.
Yeah,
And
it's
so
just,
there are some instances that's kind of hard for me than others, but I
of
have learned
course.
forgiveness through what I went through.
Well, that's one of
That's
the things
how I
that
learned forgiveness.
you've done so much and you've been through so much and you've come through so much in so many ways. It's look up to you, your daughter, the situation, and what you've taken it from where it was to where it
Mhm.
is today is so amazing. But just to mention something for the lawyers and the judges, again, that law is written by our legislators.
Mhm.
So they have a challenge. Our lawyers
Yeah,
do, our judges do. We
absolutely.
need to turn to our legislators to write it so we can all read it and understand it because it's such
Mhm.
a challenge. But
Mhm.
I say, so as this conversation comes to a close, the hour just goes by so quickly. But in the last minute or two, have there been some last thoughts or words of encouragement for the listeners who are listening today and will be listening to the recording later? Their
Mhm.
own broken shackles. How can they break through and still have that search for hope. Do you have
Mhm.
something you could tell them? Last
Yeah,
comment?
yeah. I think that when we first deal with a shackle, we focus on the shackle. We focus on what we're going through, how bad it looks, and everything. And I remember the first time I had to visit my daughter. I had never been in prison before, so I had to go down there to Ocala to visit. And when first stuff first happened, everybody at church, oh, we're gonna be there. We'll drive you down there. But nobody drove me down there. I drove myself. And so I got this CD by this Christian singer, and he says in the song, "It won't always be like this. God is perfecting that concerning you. Sooner or later, it will turn in your favor. He's turning it around for you." Did I believe that, dear Mr. Mark? No. But I kept repeating it to myself. So I think if you get one idea or one positive concept, maybe it could be something that you teach. One positive that listeners could take, one thing you teach, and just kind of focus on that. You can change your own atmosphere. It might
You
take years,
can. Mhm.
but it's like, am I gonna let this eat me? Am I gonna let this take me down? Like this old song runs, say another one bit the dust, or am I gonna rise up over the dust? And I have chosen to rise up over the dust.
You've done
Yes,
so
it
well.
looked bad. It looked awful. Truth be told, if most people probably would be somewhere in a mental health institution today. But God, along with therapy, along with positivity, has changed my whole life around for the better.
You took that purpose though, right,
Mhm.
Glow? And
Right.
you took it forward. You didn't sit on it. You
Mm-mm.
didn't
Nope.
just sit back and pray and sit down.
No,
You
you got
got
to
up.
work. You got to work it. Because the
Beautiful.
Bible
So
says
true.
faith without works is dead. I mean, I can pray all day, but like
Pray
you
all
just
day.
said, I got to do something.
I hope you're reaching that to a lot of people. So, wow. Glow, thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today,
Thank
for
you.
sharing, my pleasure, sharing your experience, your heart, your practical wisdom with each and every one of our listeners. So, as we close today's conversation, one thing I think becomes clear, that's that real change happens when vision meets action and when people come together with purpose. And
Mm-hmm.
Glow, your message reminds us that even the heaviest shackles,
Mm-hmm.
pain, loss, injustice, and hardship can be broken.
Exactly.
Breaking those shackles through faith, resilience, and love. By sharing your journey and advocating for healing, you have inspired and you continue to inspire others to believe that restoration and purpose are still possible. And as you mentioned, by taking action, not by just sitting around, but by taking action.
Mm-hmm.
We are deeply grateful for your courage and the ministry you're building, how you help people move from that brokenness to wholeness.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to thank you so much for being a very
Thank you.
valuable guest on the
Thank you.
Achieving Unity Leadership System podcast and for helping us continue turning that pain into purpose and
Yes.
that disconnection into unity. Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you so much. So, as Glow spoke to us today, reach out to Glow on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Visit her website. I hope you took a picture of that QR code. I hope you have a picture of that slide. Because if not, this full podcast will be available on or at YouTube or on YouTube at Mark Intrican before the close of business on Friday. So go back out there and get that. Get back in touch with Glow. Let's see how we can continue to build a better
Continue.
life.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Glow.
Thank you.
And my pleasure. As Achieving Unity resonates with you, follow that feeling. Reach out, connect with me, www.achievingunity.com,
Mm-hmm.
www.markintrican.com. Reach out. You got my QR code from that screen also. Let's continue achieving unity together. So until next time, let us continue to transform that complexity into execution, chaos into connection, and our purposes into action, let us continue achieving unity. www.achievingunity.com. Call me 303 Focused, Reality Focused, 303-362-8733. We can stay focused on listening. We talked about here, listening and dialogue and writing it down so we can break it down for better collaboration, better communication as we achieve unity. As we have heard from Glow today, by harnessing that power of encouraging, inspiring, and including others in building better businesses, better lives, and a better world. And please remember GLOW's acronym. The G for growth or grace that restores. L, the love that lifts others. O, overcoming life shackles as she has shown us is possible. And W, walking in faith and wholeness. GLOW,
Man.
GLOW. I'll send that to you also, GLOW.
All right, that's
Again,
great. Yeah.
it's just what you do that intrigues others. Thank you for continuing it on. So
Thank
thank
you.
you for being here. Any last words?
No, just thank you so much. And
Thank you. All right. This has been Mark Entricken with the Achieving Unity Leadership System. It's more than a formula, reminding that you and the life that you live is truly what we make it. Let us help everyone around us feel seen, heard, and supported in everyday moments that truly matter, helping others to stop the negativity from happening and make life awesome together again in unity. Thank you all. Thank you, Glow. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your message.
yes, thank you.
How you help people break those shackles,
Yes.
restore their faith, and rediscover the strength to heal, to grow, and to live in freedom. Thank you again. Hope to see all of you again next week with our surprise guest coming up 1 week from today. So until then, cheers.
All right. Thanks.